Real time information. Finna get it in
yeah,
real time.
that's new. Real time information. Woo! It say something real here. WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM. When I tell you it was a long night last night, my phone, y'all, I'm like, I don't even need to do the show this morning because I talked to so many people, got so many text messages, people cracking up. Like when I tell y'all I'm tired, I am talked out. Y'all gonna have to do the show this morning. Whatever I came in to say is gone. It is gone. I was talking about it in my sleep. I woke up to some more text messages. Let me say good morning to the bros in the studio first, and then we just gonna be out the gates and running. I was trying to make up my mind. I was gonna text Debo and be like, "Can you like pull up this playlist? Like, she's a bad mama jamma." um, let me see. Something with the word superstar in it. Um, the cleanup woman. I mean, like it was so many things. But then some of the music got like different meanings. But the titles, though, the titles. Then Keon popped in my mind because he would have had the music to Rocky. Da, 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 da. He would have been playing that. It's so much, but we're gonna try to tackle it this morning. I definitely want to hear from y'all. Look, people pinging right now. Somebody said this is how we do it. So many. And if you have a perfect song for today, because I want to be ready for my afternoon show, then please let me know what you think captures the moment of the debate last night. But let me say good morning to the bros. Good morning, Debo. How you doing this morning, fam? I'm sorry.
That's how I'm doing.
Well, wait. Let me call the immigrants in Ohio and let them know you here in the studio,
right,
so they come get their breakfast. let me call the immigrants in Ohio and let them know we got some extra dogs and cats in the studio, and you can come get that. Carvey, what's happening, fam? Carvey said he got that dog in him, so we should probably play some Atomic Dog this morning. We need to play that. Carvey said, "Look, it was so ridiculous last night." He said, "I had to let it go." Carvey said, "I know I'm about to do this all day tomorrow." So, Carvey, what you say, Carvey? You just was like, "No, let's shut this down. I can't do it no more."
but I'm impressed that he watched. That says a lot.
I mean, you know what? I think that people that typically, and not referencing Carvey, but people that typically might not have watched some of the buildup, certainly, you kind of felt like you was getting ready for what Carvey
show.
He said, "My shorty," which is AKA for girlfriend.
Yeah, he ain't got no kids.
Yeah, shorty mean when you don't have children,
right.
It means your girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
My shorty, she watched, and she typically wouldn't have watched. How old is she? She cut it off too. How old is your girlfriend? About 19, 20, 21? Oh, 1 year younger. Okay. But so that was the thing, that there were people that were tuning in that typically may not have watched. Because everybody understood kind of the hype. Everybody understood the stakes. Everybody understood, that this was historic. And after coming off the 2016 with Hillary Clinton and the way that went, people really wanted to see Donald Trump engage with this woman, interact with this woman on this stage. So there are so many places to begin. But first of all, let me do this. We had a debate watch party over at the African American Women's Center. And there were 4 organizations that bring this all together. I came in without the names of all those organizations. At some point, I'll text Rep Myers so I can make sure that I'm mentioning everybody. But Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, the NAACP. See, I knew I was going to do it. Uh, the links, and it was one more organization. And I'll get that name so I can give credit where credit is due. But there was a debate watch party. They put out a spread. The macaroni and cheese was completely fire. Let me just say that. But they had the barbecue chicken. They set out all the fixings, and there had to be 100 people there, and it was the coolest thing ever. If you've never done a debate watch party, it's like going to somebody's house to watch the Packer game or to watch a prize fight. Because the crowd, like you could tell when people thought that Kamala landed a blow, or that they resonated with a point that she was making, or that Donald Trump said something that was off the wall. So you heard, it was that kind of energy in the room. And so I just want to say that it was cool to be a part of it. I saw a lot of people there from the community. Quite a few of our listeners were there. And I'm just saying, if you've not done that before, you should do that. Invite people over to the house, get some wings, do some food, and just everybody sit down and watch this together, and then walk away, debating it, talking about what went on. So kudos, Josephine Hill and the team over at the African American Women's Center. They made everything, as cool for us as possible.
Quick question, Michelle.
Yes.
I know that they've already released that the Harris campaign has already said that they're ready in October for
another debate.
Yeah. Do you think Trump will do it?
He's gonna have to, because he got to redeem himself. He's gonna have to. Like, you can't.
I heard this morning that both camps are saying that they won the debate.
I mean, Kamala, because the Harris team understands that every time you put a microphone in front of Donald Trump's face, it's an opportunity to make him look stupid, because he has no self-control. He is impetuous. He is, undisciplined. The first thing I thought, in all seriousness, when I was watching the debate, piss poor preparation. No, how does it go?
Poor planning.
No, because it's something about preparation prevents piss poor performance, but you can say it either way. The idea that this man does not appreciate, even after 9 years, that you need to prepare, that you need to study, that you can't come in off the street, off the cuff, and have these conversations in a way that is concise, succinct, and that stays on message. They talked about when he was in the White House, he didn't want to do the daily briefings, the information that you need to understand every day about what's going on around the world. He didn't want to have those conversations. Dude barely wanted the Cliff Notes version of it. You just like skating through life, and it'll work out, it'll fall into place. And so that was the very first thing that I thought about, was the people who understood the game. They appreciated when they kept hearing that Kamala Harris is somewhere, hunkered down, doing debate prep. They understood it. They appreciated it. When people heard and learned, and not surprised at all, that Donald Trump had planned to do none of that he was having, quote, conversations, as opposed to actually, when they had talked about Tulsi Gabbard was supposed to be standing in for Kamala Harris, but he wanted to be, have a certain degree of bravado. I don't need that. I'm better than that. I'm that good. I'm that skilled as a communicator, and everybody knows he sucks.
Absolutely.
From his vocabulary and his word choices to his delivery and
lies.
Yeah, I mean, but also, there was a earlier conversation before the debates took place where somebody said, there it is. Thanks, Andre, because I was trying to remember it. Proper preparation prevents a piss poor performance. I learned that a long time ago. a long, long time ago. I learned that in high school. In fact, I think I learned it in middle school because of the type of educational setting that I was in. And so there would be no day of exam, everybody looking crazy because we not prepared. There would be no, assembly or a presentation or a job that I had to do. And I looked, off balance because I had not prepared. Thank you so much, Andre, because I had said it so much last night that I literally, couldn't even remember it this morning. But I'm going to say that again. And this is applicable in everything that you do. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. That applies to literally every facet of your life. And this is a man who has been given much of the stuff that he has acquired, who has not had to properly prepare, who has had doors open for him via wealth, his father's money, name, ID. And, so you've been able to just show up and be admitted to the college without like real ACT scores and SAT scores. You've been able to get access, not because you deserved it, but because of what the image was people had of you. So when I say that the stark difference between these two people in terms of what they did to get ready for last night, because the mistake that Donald Trump made, even though folks have said that he has been, on the debate stage in this way 7 times, more than any other human being on earth. He has done this 7 times. He took the debate that he did on June 27th with Joe Biden as proof positive that he had performed well. He did not. It was just that Joe Biden's performance was so problematic that no one focused on Donald Trump because people were so caught off guard by Joe Biden's performance. Joe Biden torpedoed Joe Biden. Trump didn't decimate him. Trump didn't clown him. Trump didn't one-up him. Joe Biden defeated Joe Biden. And that's the piece that Donald Trump missed as he walked away. So the debate that we saw last night was an example of somebody decimating somebody winning, somebody, that was able to decisively make the case where the other person faltered. And leading up into the debate, as political pundits and people were talking about what Kamala Harris should do, what should be the tact, the strategy, the approach. One of the things that was clear is I heard a lot of women saying she can't sound catty. She can't sound, this way because women aren't afforded the opportunity to air grievance or to, be snide or come at him if because they'll be perceived as, being something other than a professional. Men can do it, women can't do it. We kept hearing that. She can't try to get jabs at him. Just stick to the policy, stick to the points. And I remembered when this one political pundit was talking about it on MSNBC 2 days ago, and I smiled and I said, you don't know sisters, but you're going to learn today because we have the uncanny ability to smack the fire out of you in a meeting, and you don't realize you've been smacked till you walk out the door because it was done in such a way that other observers realized what was happening, but you didn't. I remember thinking to myself, no. There will be an opportunity and a moment to take jabs and remind people of exactly who this man is. That whole stick to the policy, some of her best moments in addition to policy is the ability when the question about race comes up to walk down that history that goes back to housing discrimination lawsuits all the way to present day. And this whole thing on saying that she's not black. The ability to remind people that this man has been given a $400 million head start from his daddy, as opposed to the working class people that she represents and talks about every single day. Like, there were opportunities to say non-policy related things that I think drove home the point about the stark differences between these two people and why this man was not good for the American public at large. And so I remember smiling 2 days ago, and I said, I don't know everything. I don't even know half the things, but I know this. There's no way you debate Donald Trump and you don't smack him or tap him on the social, on the personal drama that consumed us for the 4 years that he was in office. She did it skillfully. I heard Hakeem Jeffries say this morning she put on a clinic, basically, a master class, I think was his terminology, in how to handle this too. But when you basically can look at Donald Trump, who is so vain, and say, basically don't nobody like you, right? Like, I thought I was going to pass out. She was able to needle him to get under his skin without it looking like a deliberate, I'm being petty. But no, we need to remind people of who this man is. And so I got to take a break. But one thing that he did when the section on race came up, and he said, I had heard she had started calling herself black or something like that. And then he said, and I heard she put out. When I tell you that cut, because it just showed the vulgarity of this individual standing on the stage, that you thought that in a presidential debate, you would try to bring in somebody's sexual, proclivities or whatever. And I heard that she put out, it was the most ignorant. And he said a whole bunch of ignorant stuff last night. But the idea that on a presidential platform, you stood up with your 77-year-old behind and said something so 13 years old in a locker room. I heard she put out. But you the one who got, a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against you for sexually attacking a woman, 19 women saying that you sexually assaulted them, and then the whole hush money case with whatever Stormy Daniels it was. And I'm like, you thought you could say that? Like that gender piece, that male, that foolishness, that with your record around sex and inappropriate behavior, you thought you could get on the stage and say, and I heard she puts out. Oh my God. I got to take a break. But when I tell you, I would have had to tell Lindsay, give me 1 second. And I would have walked down his sexual history in the public. I would have walked, but it didn't belong there. Kamala handled it the correct way. I would have been wrong, but I would have took that moment. I would have took that L, because the idea that a man with this kind of track record thought he could get on the stage and bring up a woman's, sexuality and whether or not she was promiscuous or not. That lets you know what year Donald Trump is still living in. Let me take a break. I'll be right back. from the debate for a moment to um, inform some of you. Many of you are already getting the information in the word. We have received notice that Frankie Beverly of R&B and soul band Maze has passed away. In a post, the news of his passing was confirmed by his family on his official social media accounts, saying, and I quote, "Grieving the loss of a loved one is a deeply personal and emotional experience. During this time, as we are navigating feelings of sorrow, reflection, and remembrance, we kindly ask for privacy and understanding, allowing us the space to grieve in our own way. This period is one of healing, and your respect for our need for solitude is appreciated as we honor the memory of our beloved Howard Stanley Beverly, known to the world as Frankie Beverly. He lived his life with pure soul, as one would say, and for us, no one did it better. He lived for his music, family, and friends. Love one another as he would want that for all of us, or he would want that for us all. Howard Stanley Beverly, aka Frankie Beverly. And so, for folks that know, Frankie Beverly is legendary in our community. We have outfits based on, a Frankie Beverly performance. We know in the summer, we had that signature white, and in the fall, we had that signature black fit to wear to a Frankie Beverly show and May's concert. Frankie Beverly, born Howard Beverly in December 1946 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, began his musical career by forming several groups as a teenager. His first taste of success came with Frankie Beverly and the Butlers, who released If That's What You Wanted in 1967, catching the eye of record producer Kenny Gamble. The group moved to California, rebranded as Raw Soul, and soon attracted the attention of Motown legend Marvin Gaye. Gaye not only made them the opening act on his tours, but he also convinced them to adopt the name Maze, setting the stage for their lasting legacy in the music industry. Formed in the 1970s, Maze, featuring Frankie Beverly, became renowned for their smooth soul sound, producing timeless hits like Before I Let Go, Joy and Pain, and Happy Feelings. Beverly's distinctive voice and charismatic stage presence endeared him to fans, making him a beloved figure in the R&B and music soul scenes. Audience flocked to see Maze, often donning Beverly's signature all-white attire, creating a unifying and vibrant atmosphere at concerts. In 2024, Beverly announced his retirement with the I Want to Thank You Farewell Tour, culminating in a final emotional performance on May 12th at the Kia Forum in Los Angeles. Beverly's music has left an indelible mark on his fans, evoking memories of joy, pain, and celebration. His farewell tour was a heartfelt tribute filled with nostalgia and gratitude, marking the end of an era for many devoted followers. So to the many people that reached out to make sure that we were aware here at the radio station, thank you so much. The information popped up in our feeds as well. And so for folks in the community who are just now tuning in, we wanted to share with you that today we have lost Frankie Beverly of Frankie Beverly and Maze.
I know I bought it on myself. I will no blame to no one else. Now I realize I can't get over you. And though I do my very best, I just can't find happiness. And girl, it's all because I can't get over you. Hey baby, why, oh why, thinking of you makes me cry. No matter how I try, I'm gonna love you by and by, baby.
maybe if you didn't catch it, we announced that we had learned, like much of the rest of the community, that Frankie Beverly of Frankie Beverly and Mays has passed away. It has been confirmed on social media by members of his family. And so I just want to make sure that if you hear a ton of Frankie Beverly being played this morning and Mays, that you understand what's happening. We also are talking about the debate last night. So I've received a ton of text messages just since the show started this morning. I am interested in hearing from you. I'm certainly going to give you my spin on things, or some of the questions, issues that stood out to me, comments, places I thought that were strong, places that I thought we could have done better. But the bottom line is, without fail, Kamala Harris won the day, period. All of the spin, all of the attempts by Republican, the word that came to mind right away was sycophants, but they had to do a job. They had to do, start chuckling. They had to do a job. Just imagine having to go into the spin room after that ridiculous performance by Donald Trump, which to me is really what all of his performances have been like. I don't care how people try to polish it up and say that, he's been, an amazing debater. Donald Trump is a carnival barker, and he uses insults and bullying tactics to be able to get points across. And it was on full display. Having him stand side by side against this sister last night, it was on full blown display. Callers, I see you. I'm coming. One of the things, and we missed this as we were like when we were first getting everything switched on to watch the debate last night, we missed the opening couple of, like, 2-3 minutes of the debate, maybe 5, quite frankly, when we were trying to get the screen up because we had been watching some other stuff. And so when I got home last night, the one thing that every single commentator talked about, every single, I don't care if it was on the conservative side or the Democratic side, Republican side, Democrat side, liberal side, whoever, progressive, everybody that was willing to concede it talked about the same thing. And I had to go back and watch it. Kamala Harris messed up the game from the second she walked out onto the floor with the handshake that was seen around the world. Donald Trump thought that he was going to just, big boy her, ignore her. This was the first time the two of them had ever been in proximity like this to one another. And Kamala Harris walked him down to make him shake her hand. And it was done in such a commanding way. Like, oh, no, player, you won't be ignoring me. And this is not Hillary Clinton. No disrespect to Hill, but we getting ready to do something different today. She set the tone. And most people concede or believe that it threw Donald Trump off immediately, because that was not the plan. He had not intended to interact with her like that. This my enemy. We about to do battle. That little thing they do in boxing where we just gonna just dap, and walk away. No. We gonna do a handshake. So let me just say, and I talk to young people all the time. When I meet people, particularly younger people, and they shake my hand, or when I meet women and women shake my hand, that weak, flimsy handshake, I say something to people every time. Every time. The number of young people that can tell you, I stop them and I'm like, that is not how you shake hands. Let's practice how to shake hands. And I give them examples of what it feels like. And I said, can you feel the difference between what I'm doing and what you're doing? And they're like, yes. What's the difference? You feel more powerful. You feel more in control of the situation. You feel more, one little girl said, it seems more like you're the leader in this moment. Kamala Harris, out the gate, was already in Donald Trump's head with the handshake. I agree with what political pundits and observers were saying, that sets the tone. Now, I'm not kidding. If y'all want to weigh in, call in at 414-444-5250. Tell me what it was for you that you saw that you was like, oh yeah, she is owning this moment. She is owning the night. Somebody said, yes, he looked shook with the handshake. Somebody else said also he would not address Kamala by her name. It was always her or she. Very disrespectful. People noted that as well, because what he did not want to do is to put her in a position of looking presidential, of looking like a leader, of looking like somebody that was worthy of respect. So he tried to diminish her. Kudos to you, the person who's texting me, that you observed that, because so many people commented on that as well, that he would call her or she. He did not want to call her by her name. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
I'm telling you, she did her job. And I like the way she walked over to his side.
That's right.
And you're right. It must have been 10 years ago when somebody showed me, this is the way you do a handshake. Not no flimsy noodle shake, like you're in control or something, even if you're not. Put on a good front. She got him on all of the things that he said and done. She got a chance to get him in there. And I'm telling you, if you're still on the fence, I don't know what you're on the fence for. Because you see two different things going on. And look, I'm not for entertainers endorsing nobody, but Taylor Swift said she did her research.
Absolutely.
And she's been herself.
All right.
And number one, these are women. But I'm just saying, it was excellent. And no, we can get picky units about this, that, and the other. But she did an excellent job.
So let me just ask you, which thing
Okay.
do you think she landed the most effective blow?
Number one, it was on reproductive rights.
Okay.
Did you see how he lied and said the Democrats all the way up to it was no end. You could kill the baby after it got here. You could have an abortion on
after it was born. After the baby was born.
And then I never heard this thing where they were eating dogs and cats. Come on. But this is where she got him. I don't know what rally she's been looking at of Kamala, but baby, I was at the one in Milwaukee and it lit us on fire, okay? It made my old tail say, I'm going out. I'm going to do something to make this man never get in office again. Get off your couch and meet. I hope you watched it too. Have a good one.
Thank you. The number of people that hit me up was like, ooh, I wonder what Meech got to say. I wonder what Meech got to say about his boy. Because I was trying to remember what Meech said when he called in yesterday about how he thought the debate was going to go and Kamala's performance. But, in all honesty, come on, y'all. Meech knew. Meech been around. Meech knew. He knew.
We had Meech.
and any other conservative, I want to call the little sisters that was on the panel and be like, hey ladies.
Did you see Charlene on the news this morning?
I didn't. What'd she say?
Oh, he did a great job. He
Charlene was on the news this morning.
On Channel 12 or one of them watch parties.
Really?
I just happened to have her on.
Okay.
Charlene. and she looked like she had been fighting all night. Because
you said it looked like she had been fighting.
Yeah, because I mean, if you were a Trump fan last night, you certainly probably couldn't sleep well. Probably didn't sleep too well.
I mean, if you're somebody that's able to tell the truth, because that's the thing. I can support somebody, I can love them to death, and then still turn around and be like, yeah, but they was off last night. That's my people, that's my family. But yeah, we had some missteps, the way I talked about Biden, like, hey, come on now, that's still my dude. But there were some struggles. If you can be honest, like these people don't even have the ability to be honest. We all saw the same thing. We all saw it. Your boy got roasted.
My eyes was lying. And ears.
Okay, I got callers on the line. I got folks texting me. Hang on, let me get some of these. Somebody said, not only did she shake his hand, she said, Kamala Harris, nice to meet you. Let me see this one right here. When he said, run, spot, run, I died.
He only got 4 lines. 4 lines. Run, spot, run.
Dude said, okay, so somebody that had a whole bunch to say. That was like, nuck if you buck.
Look, if you buck. Look, if you buck.
That was playing in the background at their house when they was watching the debate. Nuck if you buck. They said we moved to the wrong state. Abortion at birth had me like, what? Yes, he looked shook on the handshake. Oh my God, not nuck if you buck.
I don't think he was ready for
I'm
that.
telling you, because he thought he was about to pull a Hillary Clinton, be, super tall and big and imposing. Because Kamala Harris is not no big woman. He thought he was getting ready to be imposing. And I was like, you just ain't been up against sisters. Because I'd have seen the smallest sisters in the world talk so crazy. You would think they was Shaquille O'Neal, because they talk so slick and so crazy. Like, nah, bruh. This is gonna be like
herself a couple times, but she getting ready to call him something.
Oh my God! When she did they said like the first letter looked like it was about to be an F.
This mother, Mr. President.
when she turned to the side and she did that look, it was like this, and she called herself. Yeah. Oh my God! I thought I was gonna pass out. It was the best. It was the absolute best. And everybody was trying to figure out what she was getting ready to call him when she did that move. Yeah, she killed the game with that one. I was like, that was almost, the fact it was better than Nancy Pelosi tearing up his speech while he was talking, and Nancy Pelosi tore up his speech and then did that sideways hand clap. I said, oh, she just caught Nancy Pelosi on that one. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
You know what?
What?
I think she did a good job. Now, let me tell you one thing. Okay. When it came down to the border, she should have told him. He started this mess. Because when he was in office, and when he started putting them people in cages. That's what's been looked over.
Okay.
And she should have brought that to him. I think she did an excellent job.
Well, yes, ma'am. I agree with you. Thank you so much, caller. I agree. One of the things that she did do was try to help people understand, because he kept trying to call her the border czar. You was a border czar. No, Kamala Harris's job was to figure out what was going on in these countries that was causing their people to try to come to the U.S. She was looking at policy. She was not there to stop border crossings or to, how do we reinforce the border? That was not her role. That's the role of Congress and these legislators that could do something differently. The thing, and to make that point, that Donald Trump, because he was scared that Joe Biden would get a political win, when they had, and she talked about that, when they had reached a consensus, and she talked about what the bill would have done. I think it was like give 1,500 more border agents, give more resources, more reinforcements. She went through a litany of things that the bill would have done, bipartisan effort, and Donald Trump calls his Republicans on the Hill and says, do not sign that bill. I do not want Joe Biden to be given any political upper hand. And I don't even understand or the best way to describe what Republicans did, because you've been whining and complaining about the border. That's all Meach talk about. And some of these Republicans talk about that text me. That's all they talk about. The border, the border, the border. Y'all had an opportunity to do something, and your boy told them not to. And like stooges, they went along with what he said. Help me understand that, fam. Because if it really was about the border, and protecting black jobs and protecting, this country from rapists and killers and thieves and all of that, When you had a chance to do something, why did Donald Trump stop it? And he single-handedly stopped it. That's the crazy part. Is that these people let one individual single-handedly stop the passage of that legislation.
They're afraid of him.
They I don't know if they're afraid of him as much as the base that he controls, because he's controlling a lot of the people in the base. You know, without the base, there's no reason to be afraid of Donald Trump. Because you're just some old dude with a bad comb over, and I shouldn't call him an old dude, but you just this dude with a bad comb over talking crazy. Like that, but understanding the power he wields with that base, you gotta watch what you say with this man. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hello?
Yes, hello?
All right. You all missed something. When Kamala Harris owned them right away, because when she walked up to him and introduced herself, what y'all didn't listen to, you probably have to go back and listen to it again. She said, Kamala Harris, nice to meet you. She said, after that, she said, let's have a good debate. She owned them right there.
Okay, so yep, I don't have the let's have a good debate portion. But yes, sir. I think that bigger issue is just the approaching him and forcing him to engage her and on her terms. You're absolutely right. That set the tone for what we will later see throughout the rest of the evening. I agree with you 100%. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Agree with you 100%. Someone said, let me see. Wait, where'd it go? Because I'm getting a whole bunch of stuff. Somebody said, I hope you watched Jimmy Kimmel last night. He tore him up. I didn't. I'm gonna watch Jimmy Kimmel today. I was looking at Stephen Colbert. His was okay, but I'm gonna look at Jimmy Kimmel's later because I know Jimmy Kimmel's was gonna be the best. Someone said when Vice President Kamala reminded Donald who he was running against was one poignant moment for me. You know, when she was like, hey. You're not running against Joe Biden. You're running against me. Like, and he kept going on these rants. At first he said she done nothing. She, just did what her boss said. And then all of a sudden everything became her fault. But it was like, well, you just said she wasn't running nothing. She was just listening to her boss. But I'm going to tell you what moment got me. When she walked down them cases, when she talked about them 34 felonies and she walked down them cases on him and he just had to stand there, and then, they're coming after me. Everybody's after me. Nah, bruh, this all you. And then he starts relitigating the 2020 election. And she's like, you went to court 60 times. You lost all those cases. And you see how Wisconsin kept being brought into the fold. And he was trying to indicate like in some way he had been cheated in Wisconsin. And that there was, there was something amiss here. It was just incredible.
The moderators I thought did a decent job. I'm not going to say they did the best job. But I think that some of the misinformation, if you will, for instance, when he talked about the dogs and cats in Ohio, and the moderator comes back and said, well, we reached out and there's no reports of this. We spoke with so-and-so, and they know nothing about it. Yeah, well, it was in the news. I seen it on TV. So you're going to get in a debate and not do your homework and confirm that this is really happening.
Exactly.
There was another couple points where they kibosh right on it right away. There's like, no, we checked into that. They also spoke to that they noted that here lately he's been admitting that he lost. So are you now admitting that you lost? Well, no, I'm not saying that. He still wanted to backpedal from actually outwardly saying that he lost.
I mean, there's been a lot of comment, since last night, commentary about the performance of the moderators. David Muir, I'm just going to be honest. David Muir is one of my favorite journalists. And I like his style. I think that he's fair and he's balanced in the work that he does. Lindsay, I'm getting used to Lindsay because Lindsay is dry and no nonsense. Like I watch her on her show that she hosts, And as many times I'll be like, like I'll never get the warm and fuzzies from Lindsay. Like she like, we about to handle this business. That's all we doing. You know, if you want a hug, you need to go somewhere else. I'm not that chick. Like that's the way she comes across. When she smiles, it's like a special thing because it does not happen a lot in terms of her reporting style. And so there have been, you know, Trump complained right away and Republicans complained right away that the commentators were tougher on him. They was letting Kamala slide. It was interesting though, because while I was sitting in the debate watch party last night, people in the room were like, why are the commentators not muting his mic? They're muting Kamala's mic. And, you know, and I wasn't even like catching that because I was too busy laughing at stuff. And so then I started paying attention to it. And I literally had to turn to somebody and say, I see what you mean. That they felt like that he was being given way more leeway to run his mouth, to do his rebuttals, and that Kamala, whether she was choosing to respect their request to stop talking, but that Kamala was being handled a little bit differently.
Even when she had to go back to a point.
Right, because they wouldn't let her make
another question.
Right.
She said, well, let me go back because I want to speak to this.
Yes, they wouldn't let her make
that
it.
Point.
And so it was interesting. And it was funny, Depot, when you said that. At the exact same time, a text message was coming through my man down in Racine, Youssef. He said, no, wait. Where did it go? That first one he said, those fools on Fox said the ABC commentators were biased. Thoughts. So it was coming through at the exact same time that you brought up the commentators, which certainly I was going to talk about. Nobody's more biased than Fox. Mm-hmm. The folks on Fox, nobody's more biased. That's why he was jockeying so hard to have those debates be over at Fox, because he felt like that's where he's going to get the friendliest audience. And so for people on Fox, like, you ain't got no credibility, fam, to talk about how nobody else does their job. So I think that we needed fact checking, because if he had just been able to stand there and say, in Springfield, Ohio, immigrants is eating dogs and cats and stealing people's pets, and nobody said anything, people would have lost their mind this morning. You can't let nonsense like that just linger and sit out there. And so they got upset that he got called to account on things that were being said that were patently untrue. How you get mad at that? And so when they talk about that, oh, and the other thing, when we first opened up this morning and we were talking about whether or not they would do that second debate, I didn't realize and now that I'm thinking about it, I just thought about when I was going back over this, he was saying he didn't know if he would do a debate in October against her. So I guess he's still smarting from, getting his hand tapped or his head bust last night. Yeah, but there were some Republicans that came out and said, dude didn't do well. They want him to have a second debate because you got to redeem yourself from what we saw. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Miss Michelle.
Yes.
Kamala Harris ran to Boston last night.
She's playing very well.
And she stood up and threw the cards on the table.
He was playing spades and she was playing bid.
Yes, sir. Let me tell you the part that I thought was the most impressive is when she said, "No, Donald Trump, 81 million voters fired you."
That was a good one. Yeah. You are so right. That was, because what did he say? Record 77 million people voted for me. And she said, but 81 million fired you.
Yeah, that's right. She came back. I'm telling you, she ran a poster. When she accused him of cozying up to foreign leaders, and especially, we all
love letters. You write love letters.
She said all this, and then his proof, he gonna bring up that this other Oregon, whatever that man's name is, he gonna bring up another foreign leader who said he likes him the most.
The guy out of Hungary, yes.
Yes, bro.
They really like me. We need to do something fast, really fast.
He didn't even.
Orban, that's who it was. Orban. Out of. I'm like, you talking about like one of the other crazies in the world. This who you got co-signing for you.
He did not listen to the question. He already had his answer. What he was going to say, I believe, or something like this, because She asked him about. Look, that'd be like me saying, my wife said, "Did you cheat?" And I said, well, "Which one?"
I couldn't agree more. Thank you, bro. And I like
All
that
right.
phrasing. He said she
All right.
ran to Boston. I ain't
She
mad
ran
at
the
you.
ball.
Yes, Victor Orban was who, and I'm like, do you not even have the sense, a clue? It's like standing up and saying Mussolini co-signing for me. What's his name? Hitler. Hitler said I was an amazing, leader. Like, dude, do you understand who Victor Orban is? This dude is crazy, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, just like you. And you literally, and think about all the people you could cite that had your back. When Kamala Harris said, leaders around the world are laughing at you, like the visual of all of them at that meeting standing off to the side and find Emmanuel Macron standing there like giggling. I'm like, I remember the photo vividly. So when she was doing that, somebody, I think that was Craig. Let me go back real quick, y'all, and pull Craig's comment because I appreciated it when he said it. Where is it? Craig said, we know that a championship prize fighters know how to use the whole ring, when to shoot jabs and when to shoot the knockout blows. And this is what this sister did. Remember, everything Trump says comes from the underdeveloped mind of a petulant child. But that is exactly what happened. She knew when to invoke policy, and she knew when to go personal and hurt his little bitty feelings and make him, so angry that he started blubbering and talking, like nonsense and crazy. She was so effective. And y'all, come on. I hate to say it, and on this, I'm being sexist, but knowing how to push somebody's buttons, because that's what she was doing. That's why she didn't want the mics turned off, because she wanted to be able to capture his crazy, his inability to stay on message and to get rattled. That girl was in his head from moment one. Let's go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hello, Michelle. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. The thing, I watched some of the debate, and what got me the most is her expression. Because when he was talking, it was like she was looking like, exactly, where are you? It appears you're somewhere else, and you're talking crazy. As far as the narrators who was narrating, I think they sort of let him just kept going. Okay, yeah, you still want to talk? Okay, let's go. And he just kept rambling. And it's like my mom used to say, we had this thing where, people that talk real fast, and they think if they talk fast enough and long enough, they can get you to think what they think, and they don't realize they make themselves look stupid. There you go.
There you go. All right.
That's all I have to say. Okay.
Thank you. Somebody said, I wish she would have said when he said, why haven't you done it in 3.5 years you've been in office? Because we've been cleaning up your mess. Don't forget about 9/11 today being the 23-year anniversary of 9/11. Not going to forget that at all. But yes, in that last, and people even timed it, it took him 86 minutes in a 90-minute debate to come and say, well, y'all had 3.5 years to take care of this stuff. Why didn't you? First and foremost, as he had been pointing out all night, she wasn't the boss. She was the vice president. While she's a partner, it wasn't her platform. It was Joe Biden's platform. And she helped him work the plan. And because she agreed with a lot of the work that was being done, it's easy to do that work. But you can't have it both ways. On one hand, he tried to reduce her to nothing but, a glorified assistant. Your boss. He kept saying that, your boss. So you the secretary, your boss. But then at the end, well, why didn't you get it done? Why go back to Washington, D.C. right now and make it happen? The same way Mike Pence couldn't get nothing done. He had to be, lockstep with what it was you was doing. And so that was the thing. But the other part of it, you know, to that point about you had 3.5 years. Well, hell, you had 4. What did you do in the 4? Because you still talking about a border wall 9 years later. Mexico still ain't paid for nothing. All of the stuff that you said on immigration, we still dealing with it. You had 4 years and you was in control, and you had a body for at least one portion of your presidency that was on your team. You didn't get it done.
Do you recall the part where she spoke to him and she was telling him about the individual who, I guess he was in correspondence with or whatever, and allowed for COVID to you know, didn't share all of the information he had.
I'm wondering if I don't know if I saw that part.
Yeah, she hit him with that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that like at the beginning?
No, this was toward the end.
I got to go back there. Like I said, because I'm talking to people, I'm moving around.
You got all these great relationships with all of these leaders. Well, why is it that, you know, he didn't tell you and give you all of the information with the COVID piece? You know,
that had to be coming out of China then.
Yeah,
because that's where. That's where.
Well, a lot of what they spoke about was the billions, hundreds of billions of dollars is with China, and come to find out it was dealing with arms or what have you. So it wasn't. I mean, even the commentators kind of put the kibosh on that and explained what that really was.
Yeah. Y'all killing me. People sending me pictures of cats and dogs.
Oh, jeez.
And wait. Where was that one picture somebody sent me? Make cats safe again or something like that. And it's his red hat with a picture of a cat face on it. Let me see. Somebody said, yeah, China. Hang on. She got him on daddy setting him up with $400 million and blowing it in the bankruptcy. Oh, anybody that listened to this show, I know y'all thought of me when she said, yeah, and all your bankruptcies. And he just was standing there looking crazy. And I was like, where's Meech at today? Because what did Meech say? Oh, that's just good business. That's the way you do business. Yeah. Bankruptcies is fine in business. You want to get rid of that debt.
Michelle. We haven't heard from Meech today. Crickets out there. Where you at, Meech?
Yeah. Bankruptcies is good. I was like, you sound like a whole fool on this radio talking about bankruptcies are good. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, Michelle.
Hey.
Please, baby, Meech. I got up early. I can't wait to hear your nonsense this morning. I got my coffee and everything ready for you.
It ain't coming. He ain't coming. He don't want none.
Fox has no scruples at all, Michelle.
Right.
So I DVR'd them. I said, I just got to see what they got to say. Michelle, Hannity, and the rest of them, I think they done lost their mind. It's just, I mean, I don't know if it's just even hard to explain how they
literally characterize it as 3 against 1. Like they literally, like the fact that Fox goes so hard in the paint for Donald Trump and is so biased in their coverage that they could even open their mouth to talk about somebody else, whether being biased or favoring somebody. Donald Trump will never get a hard question on Fox News ever.
Michelle, can you imagine them sitting there and listening to all the stuff that he was saying? It's just like, they went into panic mode hard. I just wish I could have been a fly on the wall and just watching and listening to him. All the nonsense that was coming out of that man's mouth yesterday. I was rolling laughing, Michelle. I caught a cramp last night. I was laughing at that man so hard. He is so stupid, Michelle.
But the one thing that was clear too, because so when the debate is over, they cut to Fox. I go check it out. They cut to Fox. The commentators didn't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the commentators said there were no winners. Boy, what is you talking about? Like literally said there were no winners. They knew they boy had not performed well. I think that was Jesse Waters. They knew they boy had not performed well. And so instead of saying anything, they said the first person to open their mouth said there were no winners. Think about that. You saw the same thing we saw. And one of them, here it is, I went and pulled it up. I don't think the American people are watching and thinking any of these people won. This is what Jesse Waters, they said, stammered out. Then he conceded. This was rough. This was pretty intense at times. Britt Hume, make no mistake about it. Trump had a bad night. Hume told that to Fox viewers. This was pretty much her night. Sounding exasperated, excuse me, Hume complained that Trump had been repeatedly baited by Harris, leading Trump to relegate to so many of the old grievances that we had thought Trump had learned, were not winners politically. Harris, meanwhile, was composed and prepared, Hume said. She kept her cool. So Britt Hume did tell the truth about the way he saw it, at least. But the majority of them... Go ahead.
Do you have a cat?
Do I have a cat?
Huh?
Yeah, I'm not a cat person.
No, okay. Have you ever put a flashlight on the floor and circle it how a cat just will chase after the light? That's how she set him up last night. Everything she did, she just set him up.
Oh, she was laying traps. She was laying traps.
They got a picture of her right now looking at him with her, you know how you put your hand on your chin and she just a gritted. She's like, you're a damn fool.
And when she had moments when she was laughing.
She's like when Jimmy Kimball got him real good. You know, when he talked about the cat and you know how he got those little cars that he's selling.
Right.
So he got two cats in each arm, Michelle, and he running. There's two Haitians chasing him. Jimmy Kimball ate him up, man. I'm like, if he get back to office, you might have to be one of the first people to leave the United States. He's coming after you.
He's gonna be deported.
Even
if he
I gotta see. I know I gotta see it. I was tired last night. I didn't watch it, but I have been getting the messages.
They had a panel with Newsom and the pillow guy.
Oh, Mike Lindell,
president. You know, because they be talking about, they would call him Sheep because he liked to wear all that eyeliner, right?
Right.
Go back and look at it. You're going to be like, sure, you a fool. Hey, thanks, y'all.
All right. Thank you, bro.
Come on, Meech. We waiting. Come on, Meech. We waiting.
Y'all killing me, but I'm not playing. Everybody I know that listen to this show, they was like, where your boy at? What your boy got to say? It was people saying, you think Beach gonna come to the watch party? You know Beach ain't coming up in here. All right, y'all. Let me go to break. I'll be right back. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5, 106.5 FM. And yes, we gotta talk about Taylor Swift's endorsement and Elon Musk was all, trying to be salty because Taylor Smith, I think they said in 20 minutes, 1 million people liked her post that she was endorsing Kamala Harris. And we'll talk about what she said. I'll be right back, y'all. So, once again, for folks that may not have heard, we are taking time this morning to acknowledge the passing of uh, none other than Mr. Frankie Beverly of Maze, featuring Frankie Beverly. I always used to say Frankie Beverly and Maze. We got official notification from the family that he had passed away. And so, um, we want to just make sure that people know that he has passed away. This morning we are getting reactions to the debate. I have received a number of text messages. Folks have been calling in. We certainly have appreciated the callers. Going to hear from other individuals had an opportunity to watch this, elected officials here in the state. Let me go to the phone line. I'm expecting a call from Senator Latanya Johnson. I'm not sure if we got her yet. Let's see who this is. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Michelle.
Good.
I'm great. This is my first time calling, and I love your show. I listen faithfully almost every day.
Thank you.
And I saw the debate last night, and I just wanted to share that I saw a vision of Kamala Harris in a commander's chief uniform 3 times. And I mean, the sister was looking bad. And it didn't come to me about war or anything. It's just that I think she got this. We still got work to do, but she wore that uniform.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you. First of all, thank you for calling in. I'm glad you weighed in this morning. Was there any one moment that stood out for you?
Yeah, I like the fact that she said that 80-some thousand people fired Trump. I love that moment. And she was very good with the woman rights of her body. That was very well said.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, you have a great day.
All right, you too. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm looking, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. So when Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, she said, let me see if I can find it because I had pulled it up because I wanted to be able to reference it. Her remarks in response to Trump saying he gave Republicans and Democrats what they wanted. Okay, so Senator Johnson is saying she's having trouble getting through. I told her to try again. I gave her the 5253 number. Let's see if we can get her. But when she gave that response, like it was so it was so heartfelt. It was such a difficult thing to even have to hear her say out loud that women didn't want this, that who would want to carry a miscarried fetus to term, that people have to leave their state to try to get the care that they need. Like, who wanted this? And then she talked about a child being the victim of incest and doctors feeling like they couldn't do anything for anyone because they were afraid to go to jail. In some cases, people could go to jail for life. Like, that was a moment when I didn't even recognize America. I didn't even understand that this is something we could be talking about in 2024, that depending on the state you lived in, you didn't get treated the same uniformly across the board on this women's health issue in this country. That the state that you lived in determined whether or not you could go to jail for something that in another state was completely permissible and legal. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, Michelle, this is Senator Latanya Johnson.
Hey, Senator Johnson, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing really well.
We are taking time this morning recapping what we have witnessed last night by way of this debate. And so it has been cool to hear from people around the city, around the state. I've been on the phone, texting back and forth last night. I'm sure you must have been engaged. Your phone jumped in. What was your takeaway, or what stood out for you as you watched the debate last night?
I was so excited about her performance. I think what we saw on the stage yesterday was her at her best, and it shows that she has what it takes to be our presidential candidate, and furthermore, the president of the U.S. What stood out for me was her passion when she talked about women's rights, because we all know that in various states, even right here in Wisconsin, a couple of years ago, we had a 10-year-old that was placed in foster care, removed from her mom's home. That child was sexually assaulted in foster care. For her 11th birthday, the present that the state of Wisconsin gave her was an abortion. And so, where would that child's life be if a Roe versus Wade had been overturned at that time? So we all know that there are instances where, women are put in these difficult decisions every day, not just women, but our children too. And so to have her stand up for that right, to make people aware that this is not helping us, this is actually hurting so many individuals, I thought was extremely important.
And I'm glad that you make the point about where she stood on that position, because as I was saying literally before you got on the call, as a woman, it was just that was probably one of the realest moments for me as a part of watching the entire thing, because it spoke so personally to me, to the fights that I know that I have witnessed as a social worker, the cases and the families that I've come across that have struggled, in which a child has been molested or sexually assaulted, and trying to envision forcing a 10-year-old child to have a baby and looking at men standing around saying, she'll be all right. She'll be okay. She'll survive it.
Yeah.
It was despicable to me. And I think that she really drove that point home in terms of the vision that she tried to paint. And to, because people said, can she separate herself from Joe Biden? Does she need to separate herself from Joe Biden? And where does she fall on policy? Were there things that you heard policy-wise that were encouraging when we looked at the debate last night?
Yes, there was. I think that she was very clear on policy as to what it is that she wants to do when she gets elected, which is to make the middle class and the working poor her top priority. Even from the state of Wisconsin, that is one of the hardest battles that we have in that capital, is getting our colleagues to care about the middle and working class. And for her to make that her pivotal and just foremost primary responsibility, I think that shows her commitment to individuals who aren't in the top 1%, who necessarily have to make sacrifices and who have to make choices between medication and food or rent and, staying home for their kids when they're sick. And so I think that spoke volumes.
That piece, when she talked about, trying to put people in a position to be able to buy a home. So, $25,000 towards, first-time home buyers, $6,000 at the birth of a child to be able to help position that family to be in a better, place starting out. For some reason, it was easy of me to think of you in that moment because of the fights that I know that you have had. Somebody who has previously been a daycare provider or operator of a daycare, some of the things and platforms that you came into Madison looking at as policy issues and platform issues for you. Did any of that, connect for you in that way?
It did, especially the $6,000 for new parents, right? Because we know that new parents struggle. Not only do they have to take time off work, and some individuals don't even have paid time off, right? So they have to rely on the state for those benefits if they're eligible. But to make sure that our children come out or come into this world where their parents can afford to buy the cribs, the diapers, the formula if needed, or better yet, just be able to afford to have that time off to bond with their baby is extremely important. When we talk about the arguments that we have at the Capitol on this particular issue, when we talk about the high cost of childcare and people not being able to afford it, a lot of our richer colleagues always say, well, they'll figure it out. I had to. Well, it's easy to figure it out if you're a millionaire. It's more difficult to figure it out when you're living paycheck to paycheck. And, to say that those individuals don't deserve to have kids is saying that if you're poor, you don't deserve to have kids, rather than trying to make things more fairer so everybody is in a better position. So that really struck home to me, especially since we know in June of 2025, we stand to lose 88,000 childcare slots right here in Wisconsin. So what are our families going to do?
How many child care slots?
88,000. Because our Republican colleagues refuse to provide additional funds for child care counts.
Oh my God, that number is staggering. So
It is.
Okay, yeah, you caught me off. I wasn't ready for that number. You caught me off guard with that one. Let me just ask too, when we think about at the federal level, the policies and things that are put in place that help us, effectuate leadership and governance at the state level, does it make a difference who's sitting at the top of the ticket? Does it make a difference who's occupying the White House? Have you been able to see the difference, because you've now been through different administrations, both Republican and Democrat, in terms of the executive office? How does that play out for us as we're trying to execute policy at the state level?
A perfect example of that is Joe Biden's ARPA funds. Because of the billions of dollars that came into the state of Wisconsin during COVID, we saw Wisconsin be able to implement programs like Child Care Counts that weren't in place before, to provide additional funding for child care providers who were about to close their doors. The other place that we saw that, so because I sit on joint finance, sometimes I get privy to where the money is going. Our Republican colleagues wanted to use those ARPA dollars to pay for everyday expenses that our regular budget should have paid for. That's why we saw a surplus of almost $7 billion, right?
Right.
Because we didn't spend $1 for COVID. As a matter of fact, we sent a letter to our federal delegation asking them not to send Wisconsin money at all. If we look at Milwaukee was facing bankruptcy January 1st, 2025, right? Because the governor gave us over $380 million right here for the city of Milwaukee, Milwaukee was able to stave that foreclosure off, or that bankruptcy off, until January 1st, 2025. We were down to our last $96 million by the time the increase was approved for shared revenue, right? And where every other county in this state got at least 20%, some even got as much as 500% increase, the city of Milwaukee only got 10%. Now, let's be real. The city of Milwaukee was the second poorest city out of the 50 most populated metropolitan cities. So we were exceptionally poor. And for us to only get a 10% increase in shared revenue, I think speaks volumes to what they think about the city of Milwaukee. Now let's talk about the state of Wisconsin. The state of Wisconsin has over $1.8 billion in their rainy day fund that collects $7.2 million every 30 days.
In interest, is that right?
In interest.
Got it.
In interest, correct. But yet, the things that are most pivotal to our minority populations, infant mortality, and other things like that, affordable housing, those things are not important to our state legislature. But because of those ARPA dollars, we saw our counties not only be able to sustain itself, but to be able to put policies and things in place for their communities that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to afford, even with $1.8 billion in our rainy day fund. Now, if an international catastrophe like COVID is in a rainy day, I don't understand what it is.
Okay, so and thank you so much for your generous time this morning, and for adding and making that connection because we can talk about these big picture policy issues at the federal level, but helping make the connection for everyday listeners and people in our community to understand how this translates to the state, how this impacts us at our level in terms of being able to get things done on behalf of this constituency. It makes all the difference in the world. So I want to tell you how much I appreciate the connections that you are making, real life, the ability to be able to put this in a way that people can clearly understand how we're impacted. But if I could for just a second, remove the state legislative lens, the political lens, and just talk about for a moment the historical nature of seeing this African American woman, biracial woman, woman of color on the stage in this capacity in this moment, and being one of the few women in the state legislature right now. Well, now one of two. For a minute, you were the only African American female in the state Senate. Now one of two African American women in the state Senate. Just a handful of African American women in the Wisconsin legislature. Can you speak just to that moment about what this whole thing has been like and watching that play out on the debate stage yesterday?
Yes, I will. You know, being in politics, especially for African American women, is difficult. It's difficult for women, period, but it's even more difficult for African American women because a lot of times we walk that fine line. Our community needs so many different things, right? And so our first priority is to make sure that our community is okay because we see those disparities increasing, right? And sometimes that's so difficult to get across to your colleagues or even to get them to care, right? Seeing Kamala on stage yesterday spoke volumes. When Kamala came to Wisconsin a couple of years ago, my little cousin was 3 years old. And she has a picture of her. She came to a Tammy Baldwin event. She got down on her knees, eye level with my little cousin. They just had this really good conversation. That baby remembered that, right? So fast forward now, she's 10 years old. She went from seeing Kamala as the U.S. Senator to then becoming a presidential candidate to then becoming vice president and now a presidential candidate again that was elected by our Democratic Party. That speaks volumes to every minority little girl out there that the things that we tell them that they can do, that they can become anything that they want, even president one day, is finally manifesting itself in 2024. And by all means, she is the most qualified individual that was on that stage yesterday. But that still doesn't mean that this isn't an uphill fight for her. That's indicative for every Black elected official, and particularly a woman all over this country. So I can't say enough of how proud I was to see her standing there, of how proud I was to hear her talk about the middle class and the poor working class. Sometimes when you're an elected official, people forget to talk about that, right? Regardless of what party you're in. But she brought that to the forefront. She brought our struggles to the national stage. And I was so impressed and I was just so in awe and just so proud to see her do that yesterday.
So I will end here. And I think that many of us share the sentiments that you have expressed. You said that, but this is still an uphill battle. When we talk about voter turnout in the state of Wisconsin, and that in the 2020 election, there was a 20,000 vote margin between who won and who didn't win. Comments or things that we need to understand as a community about the importance of showing up, going to vote, bringing other people along, particularly from this community. Is there anything that you would want to say to listeners that they need to understand about how we show up at the polls?
Yes, it is our responsibility to get everybody that we know to the polls. Even if we don't know if those individuals are eligible to vote, it's our responsibility to act. When I go out and I do doors, sometimes in some of our hardest hit communities, I hear people say, well, I'm not going to vote because my life doesn't change regardless of who's at the top or regardless of who wins. But the reality is that every aspect of your life is on that ballot every single day. The people that you send to these higher elected positions to vote in your best interest, your life is on the table every single day. And if you pay attention, it does matter who's elected because your voice, your values, do not get brought to the table unless there's somebody at that table willing to make that sacrifice to bring them. I can't tell you how sometimes for me this job gets extremely difficult, right? Because you go to Madison and you fight with the people in Madison for what you know your people deserve. And then you have to come back to Milwaukee and then fight with the people here just to get them to pay attention or to show some type of interest.
Right.
At
Right.
some point, even the best electeds, right? They get tired. They get frustrated, right? To have people behind you who are willing to hold you up, who are willing to go out and just do something as simple as cast a vote matters, because it matters whether you make it to that table to even voice those concerns or not. And so I hope that we all do our part. And don't take for granted that your neighbor on your block that you talk to every single day goes out to vote. Because this is how voting works. And Michelle, you know this, right? The higher voter turnout, you are going to see candidates walk in those streets. You're going to see volunteers walk in those streets asking you to come out and vote. For those areas that don't have higher voter turnout, you will consider yourself lucky if somebody drops a flyer off at your door.
Right.
We need all hands on deck. If you want your issues to matter, you have to come out in droves and show that, look, we matter. We're going to show up when it matters. Our vote matters, and you are not going to be able to keep us down. And we have to do that in order to get her elected to that office. It's going to take all hands on deck. It's going to take some sacrifices. You might have to put your grandkids in that car and drive them to the polls and stand there and make sure they vote, but it's worth it. Just to make sure that even if they're not looking out for their future right now, that you are.
Senator Johnson, thank you so much for taking time this morning to offer a perspective, again, that I think will help people understand how this decision connects to how we operate and are able to affect change policy at the state level. Your comments and insight were greatly appreciated. Look forward to seeing you. I know it's going to be a long 56 days or 55 days, 55 days. So look forward to seeing you out in the community, talking to people, encouraging people to turn out. I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yes, ma'am. Talk to you soon. All right, family. It is a wrap for me this morning. I am out of the way. When I get back on in the midweek flow, I will be reading the endorsement statement from Taylor Swift in relationship to her endorsement last night. I think it was poignant and it was necessary for people to understand what she said. This wasn't just some celebrity endorsement and why it matters. Everybody has a stake to play. And I think that Senator Johnson just did a great job helping us to understand how what happens at the federal level impacts us directly right here in our own backyard. Debo, appreciate you this morning, sir. Carvey P, you got a long day, bro. All right. He said I do. All right, family, I'll talk to y'all this afternoon. Peace.
We gotta find us